So in today's world, we have different trading blocks. You can see here in this slide I have shown you that the world has got different trading blocks, and you can see this blue one, which is the European Union, which comprise of the 28 countries, is one of the most famous popular trading bloc. But it is not that this is the only trading bloc. There are trading blocks in other part of the world also. For example, the India itself has got a trading bloc which is called SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. Although the success of SAARC has not been as expected, but it is a trading bloc. Another very popular trading bloc is the ASEAN, which comprises of 10 countries, ASEAN Free Trade Area Agreement. Similarly, we had the erstwhile NAFTA, which has been recently converted into a new model, but more or less it remains the free trade agreement between Mexico, US, and Canada. And we have many other trading blocs like Eurasian Economic Community or European Free Trade Association, and we have similar trading blocs in African continent also and Latin American continent also. So, so these some of these are very popular, some of these are very successful, and in this presentation we will be talking about the dynamics of these trading blocks and what are the factors which impacts these trading blocks, and how what is the background of this, what is the logic behind all these trading blocks we will be discussing in this presentation. Now, again, it is very theoretical in nature that the economic cooperation, the level of economic cooperation or the stages of economic cooperation also defines the trade gains. And of course, the economic cooperation is a step by step or stage by stage, going up the level, starting from free trade area, going to custom union, then going to common market, economic union, political union. So when we say that there are different stages of economic cooperation and the different trading blocks happens to be in the different levels of these stages, we normally say that we do not have any example of political union, for the simple reason that even European Union, which is a economic union, they have a common market also, and they have a monetary union also, but politically they are separate. So we have 28 countries in European Union which has their own political systems. So in some ways we can say that India as a country is a kind of political union, wherein if we assume that the different states of in India are different countries, which is ruled by the common border policies, and we have a single political party which rules the country. So we can say that common government example can be India, is one of the example. So level of integration, of course, in India, within India, is definitely high. So these are very theoretical concepts, and which explains the basis of this so-called WTO and trading blocks and their impact on the international economy. So this was about this slide. Now in this slide, uh, I will discuss about the pros and cons of free trade agreements. What are the pros, what are the benefits, and what are the disadvantages? What are the advantages and what are the disadvantages? So in this slide, we can see that one of the obvious advantages of, at least logically, one of the obvious advantages of free trade agreement is the increased economic growth. So there are economic benefits to the countries who are party to free trade agreements. Then it is observed that there are lower government spending because of these free trade agreements, and there are very good possibilities of technology transfer, and many similar advantages are there, other advantages. At the same time, we see there has been a concern that there are certain disadvantages also of these free trade agreements. One of them is the increased outsourcing, because depending on the level of economic cooperation, the movement of the labor from one country to another country, which are party to free trade agreement, may be made free. Like for example, it is so in European Union and many other places, many other similar agreements. There are the mobility of the labor force from one country to another, the country also becomes free, wherein there is an increased level of outsourcing. So at least in the short term, it is a disadvantage to the local labor force. And similarly, it is said that in such situations, we have the so-called poor working conditions. So, a lot of things has been written about the link between the working conditions and the free trade agreement. It has been linked in many ways. One of the ways is that the it encourages people to move from their native places, away from their dear ones, family and relations, and they work for money, but their work-life balance is very poor. So one of the factor which is mentioned about the poor working condition is this. But there are many other research papers which you can see uh, on the databases, which talks about the linkage between the poor working conditions and the free trade agreements. And of course, which is has become a very important factor today, that is the degradation of the natural resources. So it is linked to free trade agreements, it is indirectly linked to globalization, and these globalization, free trade agreements, trading blocks, world trade organizations, they are all interlinked, and ultimately somewhere in between we have been talking of the degradation of the natural resources, which is happening very fast now. A lot of paper has been written. Some people even talk about the unsustainability of the living conditions on this planet beyond 90 years from now is questionable. So many papers has been written, so many thoughts, ideas has been floated on the impact of climate change, in the impact of the natural degradation. So these are the some of the major issues which are related to the free trade agreements, pros and cons.